Good morning to everybody who may be out there in the U.S., maybe except the East Coasters. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to Europe. Good evening to anybody here from Asia. I'm Steve Spearman from Agile for All, and this is our weekly live stream. Our main topic today is the Scrum Gathering that's actually starting here this weekend and next week. But we're always open to other questions, so feel free to send those in. So as far as what's been going on here, I'm based in the Denver, Colorado area, as are about half of the Agile for All trainers and coaches. And it's been a nice week here, but now we're here, and you know what? There's some weather problems up in Minneapolis. I've heard a few people say, why did the Scrum Alliance decide that Minneapolis was a great place to do a gathering in April? Well, that's a fair question. Next year it's actually looking to be in Austin, Texas, so I think we'll have a little bit of a different weather situation. What that meant for me was I've changed my plans, so I'm going up today to try to beat the potential snowstorm tomorrow. So I will be hanging around even more at the Hyatt if anybody wants to chat. So that's kind of been the latest couple things I've been working on here, some rapid packing and rapid travel changing, or we might say agility in that case. So let's say a couple things about Scrum gatherings in general. What's the deal with these things called Scrum gatherings? Obviously they're a little bit like a conference, and they are in some sense a conference. You'll see a lot of well-known Agile speakers there. 4 of us from Agile for All are speaking. Jeff Sutherland is going to be there. He always draws a crowd as one of the originators of Scrum, of course. And so we'll have those kind of normal sessions that you'd expect. This year, very varying sessions. I'm only doing one of the short ones, a little 20-minute mini session on Tuesday that's more focused for new Scrum Masters, and it's called Scrum Masters Master or Servant. So we'll have some fun if you decide to join that one. The other 3 speakers here from Agile for All are Bob Hartman, Richard Lawrence, and Peter Green, and they're all going to have some interesting topics all on the 3rd day. Now the interesting thing then that's different about Scrum gatherings is probably the 2nd day. The 2nd day has a few of these little mini talks like the one I mentioned I'll be doing. But then the majority of the time, particularly in the afternoon, is going to be spent in what's called open space. So if you haven't run into open space, it's a pretty cool concept. It basically says we all get together in this big room in a giant circle with many layers of chairs and things, and someone will come and explain to us the rules, if you will, of open space. Then anybody who cares to is then welcome to get up, go into the center of the room, grab a sheet of paper and a marker, and then essentially write down a topic that you would like to discuss, that you'd like to essentially be the facilitator or the presenter for. And then you will have like 15 seconds to stand up, hold up your sheet, and say, hey, I'm Steve, and I'm here to talk about Agile in dog grooming, or really any topic. And then you will go put this up on a wall. And then potentially, if anybody's interested in your session, you are now a presenter effectively. So the nice thing about this is, you don't have to be well known, you don't have to go through a whole application process. So it allows for this really nice mixture of some very experienced people who talk all the time, but also people who are just coming up with cool ideas and cool things. So if you do go, I hope you will participate in open space. Okay, definitely recommend that. So let's say just a little bit about what the Agile for All folks are doing. I already mentioned I'm doing this very short session on for new Scrum Masters. It's a little 20-minute thing. It'll be a very interactive thing on the Tuesday if you're interested in that kind of thing. What my 3 colleagues are doing, they're all on the 3rd day on Wednesday. Unfortunately, 2 of them at the same time, so you'll have to make a choice. Bob Hartman and Peter Green are both at the same time on Wednesday, and Bob's session is called Stop Using Band-Aids and Fix Your Real Problems. Now this reminds me of my granddaughter, because they really believe Band-Aids fix all problems, but most of us know that's not quite true, right? So in Bob's talk he's going to talk about how what we really need to do is get past this kind of blame and so forth, and kind of band-aiding over things, and really get at the root causes of problems. And so Bob's going to discuss a symptom-based approach to lead you to figure out what your core problem is, sort of like a doctor, okay? And he's going to use some things, including what's called a CRT, or current reality tree, from Theory of Constraints. So if that sounds interesting, check that out on Wednesday afternoon. At the same time, we have Peter Green, our San Diego trainer and coach, is going to be speaking on authentic Scrum. Okay, and where he's coming from here is that we need to understand, right, that Scrum is not your process, really, right? Scrum is like a container, a meta process, and so he's talking about the idea that we can fill that container with anything, and we can do that in a way that's authentic, to our existing values as an organization. And if we don't do it that way, that there may be a kind of an antiviral reaction in our companies. So this idea of shared values and ways of approaching organizational transformation using Scrum. And then in the afternoon, Richard Lawrence is doing his Growing Your Facilitation Skills. So it sounds like a nice practical one for Scrum Masters, and really anybody that finds themselves occasionally needing to facilitate other people's conversations and so forth. And so this is another of these longer intermediate level workshops, and he's going to talk about things like what is facilitation, how can you do this in a neutral way, how you can articulate purposes and do meetings well, and things like that. So that's basically the plan from the four of us that are speaking at this coming Scrum Gathering. So some of the things about Scrum Gatherings. Of course, the sessions we hope are valuable, and I hope you will go to some of those. At the same time, I think a lot of us would say that much of the value is in the connections and the networking. And I know you've probably heard that before. We'll have a booth there. It turns out that Agile for All is actually the title sponsor for the Scrum Gathering. So what that means is, we're one of the primary sponsors. I'm sure we'll have a pretty nicely placed booth out there in the booth area and such. And we're doing this booth 303. Yeah, booth 303 we're going to be at. And we're going to be giving away lots of good stuff like we typically do, including Bob Hartman's famous No button. There'll be some of those available. This being a title sponsor is really, it's partly us, trying to give back to the community, because we are part of the Scrum Alliance, in the sense that we do lots of work with them. They sponsor our classes and things that we do. They certify our people. So we have this tight connection with the Scrum Alliance. So we're really, really pleased to be that title sponsor. And to have an opportunity to have a little bit of our stuff put in front of you, of course, but also just to be there and be part of it. I've been going now to Scrum Gatherings for, I'm going to guess it's maybe been about 7 or 8 years now, maybe, that I've been going. Haven't gone to all of them. Interestingly, if you're interested in connecting more with trainers and coaches, this is obviously a good place to go, but maybe more than you would have thought. And the reason is, something changed in the last couple of years, where the renewal for all of the Scrum trainers, and I believe for the coaches as well, now requires us to show up to one of the Scrum Gatherings at least once every 2 years. So you'll see a lot of us there, and that's some good potential for some networking and connecting with people you might have been involved with or taking classes with. But then also there's some other services that we're going to provide there. In particular, you're going to see that we have a something over there called the Coaches Clinic. And the Coaches Clinic is a free thing where a number of us will be there giving little 15-minute slots to talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, obviously it's hard to do a really in-depth coaching thing in 15 minutes, but it can be a good start to a conversation. It's all free, and you just get to go sign up for a session with a number of different people. We'll have some different specializations, so you are very welcome to do that while you're there. And then a lot of it is really about is more about those informal connections and things at the conference. So I'd really recommend, again, that you know, be a little bit outside your comfort zone maybe. It's possible that in this community, some of us tend to be a little more introverts. Yes, including me. So you might be tempted to sort of lay back and not necessarily go up and talk to a lot of people. My colleague Richard Lawrence talks about this and says some really good things about it, I think. And he says, try to think about this from a sort of a upside downside perspective, right? What's the downside of making a connection here, like going up to somebody and being willing to have a conversation? The downside's pretty small, right? Maybe a couple minutes of awkwardness or, you know, something like that. What's the upside? Upside's large. It's huge, in fact, right? You could make lifetime connections. You might find somebody that could help you with your next needed coaching or training. You might find somebody who could help you find your next job. So I really, really encourage you, as Richard would say, take the chance, right? Make the connections while you're there. You'll also find a lot of people just hanging out outside. Our own Bob Hartman, when he's there, tends to be kind of holding court out in the hallway, so he's usually there and very easy to go talk to, and some of the rest of us will probably be doing something similar. And of course, lots of us will be available at the in the actual booth area and such during the times to go visit there. There'll also be the evening activities and such. We're actually going to try to do something kind of fun with the evening activities. Of course, we'll participate, and there's usually some fun things there, a little more social, a little bit more social lubrication going on sometimes. So we'll be there, but we're going to actually try to do some live streams from the evening events. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. Hope some of you can maybe drop by. Maybe you could be part of that. Okay, so that's some of the things you might consider. So, you know, the thing about these gatherings in general is that you've got a lot of choices, and these are going to be hard choices. So there's an app to check out when you go to any of these conferences these days or the gatherings. I'd encourage you to look it over and make some choices. Don't feel like you have to go to every session. There is some value occasionally to just hanging out and chatting. But there is some good stuff out there, right? I already mentioned I saw Jeff Sutherland's talking, and he's talking about their relatively new Scrum at Scale. Not one of the best known scaling approaches, but a pretty good looking one, you know, and a very authentically agile approach to scaling. Similar to large scale Scrum or less, which the Scrum Alliance has officially been backing recently as one of the ones we think is a good approach. And quite different than, say, SAFe or Scaled Agile Framework, which is undoubtedly the most common one, but a bit more of a hybrid model. Okay. All right. So those are some of the things you might look for. I see lots of good courses out here, or lots of good sessions, lots of good little debates like, can your Scrum Master be your manager, and things like that. So I think you'll find some good stuff here. And definitely encourage you to do that and to try to find the ones that look like a good match for you. See, so some things about what's been going on with us recently here. I teach primarily certified Scrum classes. That's been my big thing, and there's a little bit of a certification steps, or you could call it, well, we don't like the word hierarchy, I guess, different steps of certification you can go through. And we've had for years and years now the Certified Scrum Master, which is where I spend most of my time. It's by far the biggest, most well-recognized certification in the Agile world. Then we've had the Certified Product Owner, our second most popular one, and a much less well-known one, but a really, really good one for your more technical people, the Certified Scrum Developer course. And that one gets into highly technical stuff, including, you know, real hands-on coding kind of stuff. So those are all three good courses, good sessions. And then we had a level that we called Certified Scrum Professional in the Scrum Alliance, and we always hoped that more and more people would be going up to Certified Scrum Professional. What we found was that many people were getting stranded at that kind of introductory level certification level. And in fact, most of the people who were actually moving on to Certified Scrum Professional were doing it because they wanted to become either trainers or coaches, because you have to go through CSP or Certified Scrum Professional to become a certified trainer or a certified coach. But we wanted people to really go to this kind of idea of a Scrum Professional, just so you become a better practitioner, right? So what the Scrum Alliance has done in just the last year, really last few months, has put out a new what's called Path to Certified Scrum Professional, or Path to CSP. And what we're doing there is making it a more of an educational track, trying to make it more accessible. So what that means, a couple really good things. One is that there's now going to be an advanced Scrum Master class and an advanced product owner class. Eventually, probably another one for the CSD or the developer types too. And I'm really, really psyched about the advanced classes, because whereas what we'll typically see in most of our introductory classes is a mix of people who are brand new to Scrum along with some experienced people, so we end up with a kind of a mixed crowd, and we have to sort of deal with a lot of fundamentals and things. In the advanced classes, we're going to assume that you have both been a practicing Scrum Master or product owner, but also have taken that introductory class. So we don't have to spend much time anymore in the fundamentals, and we're going to do some really fun practical stuff. Good learning objectives about things like coaching, like facilitating, what are specific skills you can learn to do that. And so I'm really pretty psyched about this course, and most of us here at Agile for All are pretty busy, so we haven't been one of the first to get on top of this, but we're in the process of that now. In fact, right over my shoulder here is one of the sheets where we've been constructing our Certified Scrum Master class using pure back-of-the-room approaches and modules, and so that's kind of one of our plans back there for what I think would be a very good course. So I hope you'll start to see our advanced Scrum Master and Product Owner classes out there in the next month or two, at least being advertised for sometime a little later this year. And I hope you guys will take advantage of that, because I think those will be really, really good sessions, really, really good training classes. And then that actually is followed up potentially by a third one, which is the actual CSP or Certified Scrum Professional level. Now, for all of these, there is a little bit of a experience requirement. So I believe to sign off on you as a certified or as that second level advanced Scrum Master certification or product owner, I believe you have to have a year of actual practice in place as a Scrum Master or a product owner. Notice that doesn't mean you can't come to the class without that experience. But before we can actually certify you, you'll need to have both the class successfully accomplished and that experience. And then that final step, the CSP or Certified Scrum Professional, just barely anybody rolling those out yet, but will be soon. And that takes it all to the next level, kind of extending the concepts and really helping you be a professional, a master of whatever your desired craft is. And that one may tend to be taught a little bit more as a coaching and training kind of an option. And so we have a lot more flexibility with those courses than we ever had before. The initial courses, as many of you know, are always done face-to-face, and for some pretty good reasons. But we're going to see that we've been given more flexibility with these newer courses. So they may have some online components. We'll also see a lot of actual, we do need to still have live time with each other, but there can be portions of it that could be like videos, could be other more innovative approaches to learning. So that'll also be fun to play with, and we're definitely planning on using some of that in our upcoming advanced courses. So so as far as back to the conferences for a moment here, and again, please feel free to throw in any questions of any topic here, but this question about what happens in in these Scrum gatherings, and do we, what have I gotten out of them in the past? Well, for me, I went through my own journey, of course, to becoming a Scrum trainer and so forth, and so I was going to conferences and things before that and during all that kind of time, and it really helped me with the connections and things like that that I needed. So if you are one of those people thinking about becoming a trainer or a coach, a certified one, you really want to be coming to these Scrum gatherings. Okay, you're going to find that those connections are almost essential to making that happen. And involvement in the community is one of the criteria for any of those advanced professional level certifications. So if you aren't making it to this Scrum gathering, I hope you'll at least come to one of the future ones. They really are a pretty good time, and they are a good use of your time, and I think you can learn a lot there. So if we don't have any other questions, that may be it for today. So again, I hope I'll see some of you up there. Thank you for any of you who've joined us or are watching this video later. And remember, we're always here to help, so feel free to reach out, feel free to make connections, and I hope to see a lot of you out there at the actual Scrum gatherings. Thanks a lot.